So today I'm going to look at a simple alternative virtual tabletop that's recently been released by Urbano Raucus, and this is Mapper Virtual Tabletop, and the website is homebrewedgames.com. Now this mapper is free. It's different to lots of virtual tabletops in that it's simple. It's a standalone application, and basically you share your screen via Discord or Hangouts so that your players have got a tabletop where they can visualize things. Now when I came here a few days ago, we were on version 1.3. I've had quite a bit of correspondence with Urbano, who's been really open to sort of feedback, and he's recently released version 1.6. So basically you click on the download button, and this will download a zip file to your machine. You extract the zip file to make a folder and double click on the mapper.html file. And here we have the virtual tabletop loaded up on our machine. And as I said, the idea is that I will share the screen with my players. So on the left hand side we have the main area where the display is going to be, and on the right hand side we have some controls down the right hand side here. And basically the way this works is there's a drop down box on the arrows, and we have 20 preloaded maps, and these are maps that Urbano has included with it to show off how this works. And basically if you click on any of these numbers on here, you change maps. You move around the maps by either using your arrow keys on your keyboard up and down to get around, or you can use this navigator down the right hand side, which does the same sort of thing. You can move around. I must admit that I find it easier to use my scroll mouse and the arrow buttons. Now with these maps you can switch between, you can have 20 different maps ready to use, and these are some of the ones included. You can also resize the map, so if the map you download is large, you can scale it from up to 200% of the size of the image down to 5%. So for example, there's the same map resized at 30%, so you can get a size that fits nicely with the map you want to use. To get an idea of the size, there's a grid which overlays, and each one of these grids is your typical 5 foot. It's got a black grid and a black and white grid if you've got a dark image. So you can resize the map. Let's say that might be a scale that I want to use. And all the grid is just to show where the grid is. It has no actual effect. You've also got some props which you can put on the map, and these are 10 preloaded props, and these are like things like statues. So, and you can move them around. You can resize the props. So if you want something a bit smaller, I want to have this over here. As you can see, all it is HTML, but you can drag these props around. You can also rotate them. And he's included 10 props here for you to include. So you can only have one of each on the screen. So if you wanted multiples of the same image, then you would have to save them here. And each one has a state of on or off. And let's switch those props off. The other thing you can do is if you want to give a handout to your players, you've got 10 different types of text, and you can input straight onto the screen here and show your players. So you can type on there for your players to give them some flavor text. If you've got the text already saved in a text file, you can just copy it and paste it over onto there. And he's got 10 different types of fonts, so you can share with your players. It gives a bit of flavor. The other thing he's added, again, if you switch these off and on, you can only have one of each on. When you switch it off, you go back to the underlying map. So you have some graphics you can show to your players, and so if you want to show an image of a monster they're facing, or you want to show the building they're approaching, then you've got all these different ones here. So those are your maps. And the beauty of this is now we've got some player tokens, and they're in different colors for each player, generic tokens, and you will be able to customize all this, and I'll show you in a minute how we're going to do all this. So you have small, medium and large tokens, and if you click on one of these, it appears on the map, and then you can show it on the map to your players to show where everything is. Let me have a slurp of my Coke. So you can have your players. Let's say you've got a couple of normal sized players and a halfling, and you show it to your players, and your players can describe where they're going, and it's good for visualization. But what you also want, besides players, you want some encounters. So when you've got the bad guys showing up, you've got some blue and some black tokens, each numbered and in different sizes from small to gargantuan. So let's put some tokens on here of the different sizes. So these are our different sizes. We've got our small, medium, large, huge, and then your big tokens. And you can have multiples of each size, and each one is numbered differently. So it gives you good visualization. As you notice, they sit behind the player tokens as well, and you can just drag them around and switch them off when they are deceased. If you want to clear all the players from the map in one go, just click clear players and that will clear them. If you want to bring them back, let's bring some back. Bring our players back. The good thing about it is when you swap maps, the players tokens stay on there, and this is quite a good map to show this. Here we have a map of a cathedral, and as they enter the cathedral, you can have the second floor beneath it. So flick through and you're inside. So that's one of the things you can do, which is really good. So that is your map panel tab. We also have a gameplay tab as well, which you can switch on, switch off. So the first thing I want to talk about is FX templates. You can overlay some templates for spells. So for example, here is a cone effect, and this fits in with the grid, so that's 15 foot. You can rotate these and you can move them around. So if you have a player who has got a cone effect, you can say line it up and measure off, and these switch on off and on. You've got a triangular cone, you've got a square, a circle, and you've got a line one, which I find is quite good for if you want to measure range. You can just put this up to your player token and measure how far away something is. What is recently added is fog of war. This was a request from myself. What I found was that you might have a map. So let's have a look at this map here. If the players are coming in to this map, and let's drop this down the size. Let's take this down to 65%. There we go. So, for example, you might have your players coming in on the side over here, but you don't want to show them all of it, so you want some fog of war. So he's created these fog of war tokens, and if you click one of those on, we can drag this around, and you can also rotate them so that you've got your fog of war. You can drag it around and mask. You've got 4 items of fog of war, so you can drag them around and you can mask bits of your map off. And you can also see this if I use a bigger map. Let's get another map over here. There we go. So for example, we've got this, what we got here, this large lava flow, and you can drag it around and hide the areas that you don't want the players to see. So that's a good addition. You've also got a combat tracker, so you can enter some character names. So let's say we got Brian, Julie, Sam and Tony, and we've got Monster 1 and Monster 2. So we input our names there, view the tracker, and there is our tracker. What we can also do with these names is we can drag them around. So each turn, Brian now rolls lower and Monster 1's going first. We can just drag them around and get them in the right order. Any ones we're not using, we can just drag out of the way so it's not in the way. There we go. So that's our combat order. And then if you click on each one, the number changes colour so you can tell whose turn it is. And if you switch your map channel back, or you go back to it, it remains highlighted. So that's a nice simple way. So all in all, that is as useful as it is, but what you can do is you can customize it. Now if you go to the this is one that I've already done for my Lost Mines of Phandelver. If you go to the mapper folder, you've got different folder for each of the items. So we'll start with maps. Maps are numbered 1 to 20. So all you need to do, any map you want to do, import it, just use the naming convention and replace one of the maps already in it to one of the maps that you've input. So I've dragged on this map of the Neverwinter and I renamed it map 1. So that's going to be my first map. For my player tokens are numbered player 1 to player 10. So import your PNG. What I did was I resized my tokens to be the same size. He's using 100 by 100 pixels. Don't know if it makes a difference, so I just resized all mine to 100 by 100 pixels. I renamed them player 1 to player 4. I didn't think I brought any props in, but I changed the fog of war to some actual fog. Fog of war is named as FW1 to FW4. Your templates are named FX1 to FX4, and your props are prop 1 to prop 10. So if you want to change the props, you can do that as well. And for your monsters, you've got a number of tokens there. I've got some goblins I've dragged in. These are size of 200 by 200 pixels, so I've resized these to 200 pixels. The zeros aren't actually used. This was a leftover from a previous version, but so you can use the other ones. And finally, for the text is only saved in this mapper element.js. So if we edit that, you can see it's a variable text field, and you put the text in between the inverted commas. So I've done this, and I put some text in there. So now let's have a look at my customized version of the tabletop. So if I go into my maps, map 1, here we go. I've got a nice map of Phandelver, of the Neverwinter Wood. I can tell the players as I'm sharing the screen, you start off in Neverwinter, you come down the trail, you turn left. Now I want to add some text. So there we go, give them the text. And that's the text I put in the .js file. It's there for them to see. So they see some dead horses, and on my graphics I can actually put a dead horse in there. Oh, there we go. This is what you actually see, a dead horse. And then let's go now to the map. So I want to do the ambush map. So the first thing you want to do is match the grid size up. I'm going to think this is probably about there. It's about the same size now, 140%. So my players are going to come on from the left here. So my players, we've got a dwarf and 4 players, so I can pop them straight on the map. If I wanted to add my fog of war before I shared the screen, I could do so. And I could put my fog of war here, get it all set up, and then the players can't see that bit. But for this, I'm not bothered. It's just forest, so I'm not bothered about that. So we can take them straight back. The players move their tell me to move their characters where they want to go, and say they come down here. And then I want to spring the ambush. If you're familiar with this counter, so this is the point. I can add my goblins. So I'll put 2 small ones and 2 big ones, and we can put these on the map so the players can see where they are and get a good visualization of the terrain. And all you need to do is tell the GM what's happening, and GM can move the tokens around. So as you see, really simple. It's HTML, CSS, it's running on my machine, no hassle at all, and it's a simple share screen. I think it's a really simple solution for people that just want basic maps without all the fancy stuff to go behind it to get it up and working. It's just a matter of replacing some files, and you're up and running. It's so simple, it's mind-boggling really. So there we go. So if you want to check this one out, head over to the homebrewgames.com, download it and have a play with it. I think you'll find it quite useful. So until the next time, thanks very much.